I'm delighted to have the opportunity to speak with you. My name is Professor GAIL Melson, professor at Purdue University, which is in Indiana in the United States. I'm trained as a developmental psychologist, and I've been working in the field of studying children's development in the context of their relationships with animals for more than the past 25 years, and have written a book on the subject called Why the Wild Things Are, Animals in the Lives of Children, which was published by Harvard University Press in 2001. And so, and I continue to do research in this area and speak in this area. I think the first thing we have to understand is just how pervasive, how common, how widespread animals are in children's lives. And in fact, we know as societies become more urbanized and more developed technologically, the number of humans in a household has been decreasing. So family size has been decreasing. And yet, if we look historically, ownership of pets has been increasing. So we now estimate that a child is, in the United States, more likely to grow up with an animal during childhood sometime than even a younger sibling or a brother or sister of any age, and even a father. Because if you look at the divorce rate in comparison with pet ownership rate, in many cases, they're more likely to have animals. So the animal is, if you just are looking at, what is in the child's life, animals are extremely important. Family, classrooms, and in other areas. So that's one important fact to keep in mind. Second, we now have a body of research that shows that this involvement with animals is affecting important areas of children's development. And I think the areas that we should think about is the area of nurturance development. And this means the opportunity to learn to care for something that is not you, and that is outside of you, and that may be very different from you. And we know that when a child becomes an adult, this is a very important role. You become a parent, you care for others. More and more you are caring for other people's children, in daycare. We are living longer, you are caring for elderly. So caring for others, I think about nurturance as the 21st century task more and more. And so now we need to look, what are the experiences children have that prepare them for this task in adulthood? And if families are becoming smaller, if we don't find babies and we don't find grandma living in the house with you, and we find animals, and animals need care, then this is an important opportunity for nurturance. And we know from the research that boys and girls understand caring for humans as being something for women, something that is part of the female role very early. So if we're concerned, I think that everybody, men and women, need to be nurturers in the 21st century. We must look at what the experience is with animals, because this may be the most important opportunity. So that is one. And the second area that's important that we see is that children are, I don't want to say using animals, but they're in that sense, they're using animals for emotional support, for social support. We know in times of stress, we know children have a great deal of stress, that in times of stress, emotional support is one of the most powerful factors that help us cope. And we have hundreds of studies that we know this is true from human social support. Now we know it is also true from animals. And you can say, well, how does an animal support you emotionally, help you through stress? But we know for children it does. And even though children know this animal does not understand my language, but I speak to the animal hears me, the animal understands me. The animal is a mirror where I see I am valued. And so this is can be very, very important for children. So I think also the area of social support is very important. And the last area, I think, this is very much on our minds, is the whole area of ecological sensitivity and environmental issues. This is maybe one of the top issues of the future. Global warming, what is happening to our planet, how do we care for living things, the living things that that live with us. And we adults are wrestling with this, but we have to think about the next generation. So where is the understanding of how we treat other living things? Where is it going to come from? And it is coming from children's understanding and involvement and interaction with animals as they are growing up. They're developing, if there is a moral code, ethical code, treatment of animals, it's not going to come from the heavens when they are adults and they're, voting. It's happening now, so we have to, I think, be very, very sensitive to what does a society communicate about animals for children, because this is a dimension of moral development that's very important. Many people think that an animal can be a substitute or can compensate for problems in human relations. For example, a bad relationship with a parent, having a pet, having an animal that loves you can be a substitute. And my feeling about this is, and also I think research supports this, that the answer is no. And that the important thing to keep in mind is that, like anything else in a child's world, the parents are the primary shapers, interpreters of the meaning of this world. I mean, a brother or sister can be a wonderful thing, but it also can be a very difficult, conflicted relationship. It depends. There is research, quite a bit of research on animal cruelty and animal abuse. And it shows that children learn this from the parents in the family. So the animal can be an avenue that has benefits for children. It can be an avenue to teach how to be cruel to helpless, dependent beings. And what determines which avenue? It's very much the parents, the important adults, and also even the society. We do find 2 research results that suggest differences in family structure may influence the child in terms of the relationship with the animal. One is the number of younger siblings. So if there's no younger sibling, maybe you are an only child, then the child has a stronger relationship with the animal. Could it be a substitute little brother? Maybe that's too much to say, but it's an interesting finding. Second one is that when the mother is working outside the home full time, the child has a stronger attachment. And it doesn't matter what species. Again, is it some kind of compensation because mother is not home so much? I don't want to make a conclusion like that, but it's an interesting finding. And it may be an indication that children can, again, use an animal for emotional support. This might be another way of showing that. This is a young field. There's not a lot of research, but often the research that is developing focuses on the child's relationship with the animal. That's, of course, very interesting. You want to know more about it. But when you only study that, I think you are missing the larger picture because you're studying it really in isolation. And I think the other thing that I do that maybe is, I don't know if it's unique, but it's somewhat different, is that I want to try to understand this relationship as part of some very basic questions in the study of children's development. Different theories, different aspects of development, so that we see the place that animals have is not something, over there, Litzad. It's right in the, it's central to children's development. And until now, the study of children's development has really exclusively focused on other human beings.
Okay, thank you very much. It was
You're
a
welcome
pleasure
very much. A
speaking with
pleasure.
you.
I hope.